Hello everybody, it's vanburman here and welcome back to my latest video. Today we're going to be looking at the XFX GTX 260, and you can see on screen we have some particulars, and I did overclock the unit, as I will be doing with all of the graphics cards I'll be looking at, to as high as I can get them stably. Now I did run the fan fairly high with these settings, so just so you're aware. Now obviously I did some tests previously with the other graphics cards, and they were both DirectX 11 compatible. This is only DirectX 10, so I'm limited to the amount of games I can do, but I did sort of similar ones that I did previously just to give you a little bit of a comparison so you can judge them against each other if you wish. Up first we have the Elder Scrolls Skyrim. Now I did run this with my usual mods enabled, so things like different armor classes and some of the graphical mods as well, but which makes the test a little bit unfair. I'm sure if you just ran a pure vanilla mod, it would be pure vanilla Skyrim, you'd probably get better results actually, I'm pretty sure. But I'm not disappointed by this at all. You know, everything was more than playable. I would maybe mess around with one or two settings just to get it, you know, about right to be played. But absolutely no issues from me with Skyrim. Everything looked beautiful as it does. This isn't the special edition; it's just a normal one. But yeah, perfectly happy with this one. Sticking with Bethesda, and I decided to have a look at Fallout 3. Obviously couldn't test Fallout 4 for DirectX reasons, but this ran absolutely perfectly. Everything on the maximum settings you can get, well, the Ultra preset anyway. So everything looked really good, as you would expect. I guess it's a very old game now, so it pretty much just played as I would have thought. You know, no issues, nothing like that, which I have had issues with this game before in the past, compatibility and all that sort of stuff. But no, everything ran perfect, and if you want to play it if you want this card for, you know, older games like this, it looks so far like it would be perfect. The first of two online shooters now. We're going to start off by looking at Toxic, a game that I like to include in these videos because it's a game I really do enjoy playing, and I realise it's not, you know, the most highly demanding game in the world, but you know, it's a bit of fun, and you want to know if you're buying something like that, you can actually play this sort of game. So yes, everything ran perfectly fine. Obviously I only played against the bots like I do for all my videos just because it's easier to jump in and jump out, but you know, no issues. The minimum was over 30, the average is 48, so we won't get any screen tearing or anything like that. You could of course mess around with some of the settings if you wanted to guarantee 60 FPS at 1080p, but for me this is about as good as this one gets, and it didn't disappoint. And the second shooter, which a lot of people like, I personally don't. I can't really stand Counter-Strike Global Offensive, but one of my friends bought it and we decided we'd play it together. But well, you can see from the scores on the doors, you know, an average of 87 is pretty much as you would expect with everything maxed out, and I'm sure if you were to run it all on the lowest as well, you'd be up in the hundreds. I didn't do a lowest test, which I may do. I think I'll start doing with some of the other cards as well, because I know some of you appreciate that from other people's videos. And moving on to one of my favourites, of course, Rocket League. Now everything really should play Rocket League, so I'm told. This ran over 30 FPS. It's a much nicer looking experience to the PS4 version, which I also have. But you know, running at sort of similar frame rates, to be fair. I think the PlayStation version only runs at 30 FPS. I mean, it has to, because it is horrible and jerky most of the time anyway, which is a bit sort of damning of the PlayStation 4 itself. But no, this card handled it perfectly, and you know, I could quite happily sit here all day playing Rocket League, but that's not always a good thing. And I decided to use Smite, or the Smite footage, for just a couple of the other games that I had. I don't know why the Total War 2 Shogun benchmark is so low, but I included it anyway because that's my findings from the 720p balanced benchmark that they have. Yeah, I don't really know what to say about that. I mean, that's the odd one out of all these. Left 4 Dead, everything maxed out as you would expect. It did really well, but then again, you know, pretty much anything can play it. I'm sure, you know, if it was modded for the smartphones, they could play it. So, whatever, you know, it's all fine. And Smite works really well, so things like Dota and that sort of stuff will run just as well, I should have thought. You know, League of Legends, that sort of stuff. So, yeah, for MOBAs, free-to-play games, seems to be perfect. Just up here now are the Heaven benchmark and the Cloudgate benchmark as well. Now, the Heaven benchmark was the DirectX 11 one, which worked for some reason, but I don't really understand. Keep forgetting to mention this at the start of the video, but I managed to get this card for £10, which I thought was a pretty good deal considering, you know, it was a fairly decent card back in the day. And it still holds up well today with DirectX 9 and DirectX 10 games, but I can't recommend it as a card for someone to go out and buy in pretty much any circumstance. There's always a better option, and ones that do have DirectX 11 support as well. Anyway guys, hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you all on the next one. Goodbye.